All right, what's up, guys? Round five, season six, beer league, back at it. A little bit more sober today because my parents are here for the week, and so I've been playing tour guide for them. Um, but yeah, we're at Phillip Island this week, which is a high-speed track. Lot of sweeping corners and two really sharp narrow corners, so good little balance in them. Um, First trip to Australia this season. Luckily, it wasn't Bathurst. I hate that track. So yeah, good little change of pace for coming down to old Aussie land. Right. So as we go through these corners, I guess I'll call out gears. Just so you know, it says 3.80. I have adjusted it to 339. We might run 339 or 342, I think. The gearing should be similar for those two for corners. If they change for any gear ratios that we do, I will be sure to let you guys know. So, as you come into turn one, a super high speed sweeping right hander. There's not a lot of brake markers here, especially because we're coming over a crown, and so it's hard to see the marks on the ground as a turning point. What I really try to do is get past this line and then really split the difference between here and kind of that corner over there. And that's where I just kind of brake and turn in. If you look at my brake graph, it's not heavy on the brakes. I kind of just stab it once or twice. And what we're trying to do is letting our car roll through this corner. We're going to do that several times on this track. So as soon as we hit apex of these corners, we're on the gas. Long sweeping corners, it's really important to be on the gas as soon as you can. So this corner is not too bad because there's the corner immediately after, but we want to be full throttle here and not lifting out here. That's a great way to lose time. So if you do carry a little bit too much speed and you say you end up way out here, that's not the end of the world because you're going to be a little bit faster here. It is going to set you up worse for this corner, but just kind of be aware that you're going to need to slow down a little bit more. Vice versa, if you slow down too much, make sure your car is way out wide here so you can take a faster entry into this next corner. Personally, I don't like going all the way out to the blue lines. I like to kind of split the difference, so I'm almost there. I'm not all the way to the right. And then same thing, I don't go all the way to the right line. Carry speed through this. So this is a very long left-handed corner. Again, we're not going to be heavy on the brakes. We're kind of stabbing it here and there, and then just letting the car kind of roll and still roll. And your goal, if you watch my throttle graph, is not to do this. Up, down, and then all the way up. It's to kind of hold a position. So, maybe right there throughout all of this. So that we're keeping our car balanced. We're not stabbing the throttle. And it just creates good habits. So braking part here is essentially as the car starts to angle to the right, yeah, we're rotating it back to the left well before the corner so we can let the car's speed slow us down, but we're also turning as much as we can. Very late apex. For you single monitor people, this is going to be hard to see. For multi-monitor people, this is a lot better. But as we come through here, as we're getting close to this flag stand, this is where we need to be accelerating through this corner. It's a lot of open space over there. Yeah, a lot of open space. You really want to be powering out. And it's pretty forgiving. If you hit the dirt there, it's not going to slow you down much at all. And so as we go through to the next corner, this is a flat out corner. Don't worry about that, but make sure you're staying all the way to the left. Reason being, this is the slowest, second slowest corner on the track. And this 150, we're going to call it centimeter mark because Australians are backwards. 150 centimeter mark, we're going to be really heavy on the brakes. This is a really sharp corner, and we're going to carry a ton of speed out of it. And if you don't, this is probably the easiest corner to really just mess up. I would say it's the most difficult corner on the course. Now, this is going to be prime dive bomb position because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to see all of this open space and think, wow, this is my time to shine. And, so if you're Corey, I don't know, I would stay well away from Clank. So if he's going inside, go way outside. And if he's on this line, Corey, I'd be way over here, and that goes for anyone driving around Clank. So like I said, heavy on the brakes, we're going to stay way out wide onto the curbing. The curbing has plenty of grip, so you guys don't need to worry about that until rain comes. Once that happens, stay off curbing. This is a difficult corner, and we will talk about brake bias for a second. Every other corner, you can run 46, but if you do it here, it's just too hard. It's like really difficult for me to manage it. And what will happen is your ass end will be hanging out a little bit. You downshift into first gear. This is a first gear corner, and it's really easy to loop it. So I would recommend 48, 49 for the track just because of this corner. Yeah, and so down to second, down to first, and really late downshifts. So third, second, first. Making sure we're keeping our back end hooked up to the rear or hooked up to the ground, and so that we can power out. This is a 180, essentially a 180 left-hander. As the curbing ends, we want to go a little bit farther from it and then brake and turn in at the same time. That will help carry speed out wide so we can take another really late apex here. And as long as you lay apex, power out, keep that throttle in, because again, this track's really wide, a lot of room to move left and right. And this is flat as well, but what you want to do is make sure that you take it wide. You don't have to be here, you can be over there, but it keeps, if you start wide, it sets you up better for this corner. And if you're out over here, this becomes a much more difficult corner. So as we go through this, another big long sweeper, we want to stay as far right as we can. We'll start far left so we can be as far right. And there's two sets of marks here and then heavier right there. This set of tire marks is where I'm really going to try to point the car towards this road right here, as well as jump on the brakes a little bit as we get closer. Another track where we don't need to dive on the brakes, we can use our rolling motion to slow us down. And you can see just a little light actuation of the brakes to make sure that we're staying close to that apex. As we come through this, we want to kind of be on the curb. You don't have to be that much. In fact, that's probably slowing me down just a little bit. But it's better to be tight here than to be wide, especially as the camber starts to go away from the corner. You really, really, really want to lay apex this track everywhere. Here's a big reason, or a big example of why. And yeah, that will keep us, again, set up for a new or super sharp corner. So this is the other slow speed corner on the track. We want to brake just before the 50 centimeter mark. And do you see that little bump right there? That will catch you out. So if you're trying to brake and go over that little curb thing right here, it's going to upset the car and it's going to be hard to brake. So haven't done a good job of calling out corner or gears. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let me back it up. So we talked about this as first gear corner. As we come through, this is going to be a second gear corner. That's smooth out third and fourth through here. Whoops. And then here down to third. Keep it in third through this corner. Down to second. And then down to first. Again, really late on the braking downshifts because it will just lock up the rear end. And so this corner we want to keep it tight because we have another sharp left-hander up here. So you can see how far I have my car angled. If you don't and you keep narrow, you're going to lose a ton of speed on the exit of the corner. That being said, people will use that as an opportunity to dive bomb. So make sure you're being protective if you need to, but it should be plenty of space out here as long as you're not driving next to Clank. And so carry it out. This is a really long corner and it seems like it's opening up. So it's like, oh, I can get on the gas all the way. And you kind of can, but you do have to wait a little bit. You got to be patient. Right here, just half throttle maintenance throttles we've talked about before so that you can open it up, because that's pretty much all grip. If I was going any faster, I'd have to lift off, and that applies to here as well. We're going to hit maintenance throttle. We're not going to hit the brake or anything. Maintenance throttle just a couple times to keep us flat, and that's a third gear corner going into fourth, and then we're right back onto the start finish straight. So This is pit exit right here. Not this. You can use this, but this is pit exit. I would recommend you drive all the way here on this white line so that you punish anyone that thinks that they are allowed to live. Either that or protect yourself and be over there. I don't care, but I prefer over this way. That being said, if you're coming out of pits, I would call it out. I would be like, hey guys, please don't murder me. Yeah. And so this next lap that I do, I'm going to show you just what happens if you overdrive the corners a little bit. You know, miss the apex just a little bit, carry speed, and I have to lift off, right? Just a couple times there. Now I have a really shallow line, and I'm able to hit it fine. It's not the end of the world, right? Coming through the next corners. Diving a little bit deep here. I do a good job on the brake, so it's not too bad. But because of that, I jam it into first. And yeah, it just kind of roosters the rear end. So you're going to get more tire wear, more heat, and you're going to be slower too. Okay, so the first lap that we saw was a 35.7. This is exactly a second slower. And so, you know, it's just by overdriving these corners, by instead of holding out wide here and then turning in, just turning in right away and then letting the car flow out. Here, this is so much sharper and it's more difficult to angle it in. And so again, I do a decent job hanging on the curb. So it looks good, but it is slower. And here, just by being a little bit aggressive on the gas, I have to do these light little lifts at the end, and it's not the end of the world, it's just slower. It slows you down. So here, you know, on the throttle, as I'm coming up to the exit, just have to do these little blips, and all of those things add up to 1 second, which around this track, you know, that's a big difference. And if you really miss this corner, there's, you know, we have the new grass model, so I don't want to hear anyone say, I couldn't slow down. Look at this. This whole time that I'm off, not on the brake, not on the brake. I'm actually on the gas. Now I'm on the brake, and kind of. Barely on the brake. And guess what? I still barely crossed the road. So I don't want to hear anyone say, I couldn't slow down on the grass. Yes, you could. Don't lie to me. That being said, I think this is going to be the best track of the year for the practice results. Trying to get that point. Cutting, I don't even know where you can cut, but it's going to be fun to try to figure that out. And let's see what else. Go ahead and do an onboard for lap 19. We should be good. Alright, as usual, all my stuff is on Garage 61. If you have any questions, shoot it to me. Catch you guys Wednesday.